145. What you're asking for doesn't really require Ms. Webb to be present. And I wanted to talk to you before I forget also about your order to show cause. I think we need to talk about that for the future. We need to look at them closely. And I talked to my fellow judge and he needs to look at it more closely. She doesn't need to be present. This order is expired. She hasn't asked for anything. You're asking to vacate the judgment, which I'm granting because of service. And so I'm just granting your order. The order is no longer in effect. It ended. So there's no prejudice. There's no need. Your issue on motion to vacate doesn't require her or your client to be present. So I'm granting your motion, but I'm not granting it on the substance. I'm granting it simply on void for the lack of service. There you go. All right. So as to the order to show cause, this civil case, what was in here is troublesome. Finding Ms. Webb in contempt, nope. Warnings that we would issue a warrant for her arrest, nope, wouldn't happen. And that is, I think, oppressive and not necessary and kind of intimidating. Court's not going to, nor has the ability to do that in this case. So shouldn't be in your order to show cause in something in the future. And then asking to send her to jail. Can't afford a lawyer, you may ask the court to appoint, not happening in a civil case. So just be really careful with these because sending something out like this, and again, I did talk to my fellow judge who signed off on it, should have looked more closely. That is not something that should be warnings or alerts at all. It's intimidating and beyond the powers of the court in a civil case. Now, if it's a criminal case, whole nother matter, but not in this case. And there's no basis to do an order to show cause with that kind of warning. So just heads up, look at that, make sure you're not sending someone forward like that. But I've signed the order. Do you need a copy of that today? Hard copy?
It should be sufficient if it's in the court file.
Okay.
And
all right.
I'm afraid I don't have the order in front of me, but we're sure that the petition had already expired.
The order has expired.
Or the protection
yeah,
order.
It expired way back in May 30th of 2024, way back. You filed your motion June 7th. It expired. It was only a year. It's done and over. So this vacation of the judgment I'll allow because you can have it under CR LJ 60. And granted, the appeal time under Rawls and so forth has expired, but I see what you're saying on service. And so I'm going to grant that vacation if it's proper. So that's it.
Okay.
All right. You're welcome. Oh, you can have a copy right here if you wanted it. Video if you want, but definitely unmute if you're not Ms. Julbazon or Mr. Cooper. Ms. Julbazon, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Can you start your video?
Yes, let's see.
All right.
Hi.
So we have Mr. Cooper. Hello, Mr. Cooper.
How you doing, Your Honor?
Okay, good. All right. So let me put you both under oath as we get going here. Okay, great. So what this is all about is kind of it loosens up this protection order that was already issued in March. Ms. Julbazon is asking the court to correct the distance so that Mr. Cooper's not put in peril of just going to and fro his apartment. So Mr. Cooper, are you still living in the same apartment complex or the same area as Ms. Julbazon, or did you move since this was issued?
No, I still stay here.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I still stay here.
Okay. All right. Ms. Julbazon, you're still in the same place when this order was issued?
Yes.
Okay. So, and that order said 1,000 feet, which is unworkable because Mr. Cooper, this order was not meant to say that you couldn't go home or use the facility. So, that's the upshot of this request to amend. Is that right, Ms. Julbazon?
Yes, it is.
And in particular, what are you asking?
Meaning outside of that request of changing the distance?
No. What are you asking on the distance?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know if it was already in the paperwork. Law enforcement suggested, I believe, 25 to 50 feet, but meaning obviously not the stairwell as we shared, because yeah, that is fine. They just said, when you're on the ground, walking around the apartment complex, things like that, that the 25 to 50 feet seemed reasonable. But again, not in our stairwell. if that makes sense.
And so if I remember, well, I'm trying to remember correctly, there's,
I live right above him. I'm on the third floor, which is we have third floor. That's the highest it goes. I'm on the third
Okay.
floor and he's directly below me.
okay. And so you
all-
both have to use the same path to get to the stairwell, the same stairwell to and fro, or is that what you're
Yeah.
telling me?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's,
yeah. And like the, sidewalk, right at the stairwell, things like that. The only issue is if I'm, walking my dog somewhere around the complex, not anywhere close to my stairwell, that's when, we would want that distance to be in place.
okay. So Mr. Cooper, that's the request, is to reduce this down and make it more workable for you, actually. And I don't believe that the court intended that you be evicted because of this order, and I'm not going to allow that. So do you have any questions or comments about that request?
No, it seems reasonable to me.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, and I have to think about also enforceability of this order, I'm going to make it clear that that you simply, stay away from, as you have been. We haven't heard that differently. Stay away from Ms. Julizan, from her residence, from her workplace, and you don't come to her apartment. And then I'm just going to make it clear here for law enforcement that this order is not intended to prevent you from accessing your apartment. And I think that'll make it really clear. So that's the stairwell. You should be able to freely, as long as you don't contact Ms. Julizan. And other part of this order, don't attempt yourself, directly or indirectly, or through parties, to contact her, talk to her, stare her down, watch her movements, call her, social media, anything. And as long as that maintains, then we should be good. I would suggest if you both end up hitting the stairwell at the same time, you just back away and let her do her thing, and then you get back, you take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not going to make a distance because I don't think that's workable here, and there's been compliance thus far. So that's how it will be. Now, what I'm going to do is write up this renewed order. So you stay away from her apartment, from her residence, her workplace. And I'm going to make it clear that this order is not intended to prevent you from accessing your apartment. And then this order will be in the court file. You can both access the court file by Zoom, or you can contact the court directly, and my clerks will help you out to get a copy of this. But it's in effect now. And that's it for today. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Cooper?
No, I don't.
Okay, Ms. Julizan, do you have any questions? I'll get there.
No, I don't.
All right. Well, you both can be on your way then. And thanks for your patience.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So we got you both here. There was an order that was issued on behalf of Mr. Petty. I see that you're here, Mr. Snyder. A little concerned about, I'm glad to see you're here. I'm a little concerned about service. I want to be sure what you got. It wasn't, let me look back at that, make sure. So you, all right. Did you receive something called a petition? If you look in the upper right-hand corner, what did you get?
I got this.
All right, I can't read that well. Why don't you tell me what it says in the upper right-hand corner instead of, it gets me a little woozy up and down like that.
It says filed June 24th of 2024.
No, what I want is on the caption under District Court of Washington. It says on the very right-hand side the number, and then it says something like petition for protection order or temporary protection order and hearing notice. Do you have those two things?
Quite possibly. Let's see here.
Both lots of pages.
Yeah.
So you've got temporary protection order and hearing notice,
Yes.
and you have petition for protection order.
Yes, I believe so.
At all now that petition is 15 pages. You got all that?
Ooh. Petition for protection order, temporary protection order, and notice of hearing.
And they're both those big documents are 15 pages long. So you got all you can look at the last page and it says 15 of 15. I believe it does.
5 of I've got it's a 13.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so you got what yeah. Okay, good. So you got that, and you got that on. At least your wife received it. Looked like at the street on the 24th. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So first off, let me ask Mr. Petty, are you still asking for this order of protection against Mr. Snyder?
Ultimately, I do not want to be harassed, contacted in any way, shape, or form.
Do you want
Mr.
this
Snyder.
order is what I'm
Yes.
asking? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Snyder, do you object to the court issuing this order against you?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I do.
so I know where we stand now. And Mr. Petty, you're ready to go forward today. You have all the information you want the court to consider. What that means is if you said, well, I have a witness, but they're not here, or I have a document that I didn't bring or file, you're not
ready.
going to be relying on any of that, right?
No, Your Honor.
So you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, so Mr. Snyder, that question goes to you as well. You're ready to respond to this.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're, okay, yeah, and that means you're not going to be asking to bring any other witnesses or other documents and say, because today's the day, and I don't want you to think that there's another day that you would be bringing information forward, right?
What I think this is all over.
Well, I'm asking you a very direct question, Mr. Snyder, and I need an answer to that before we start talking about facts. Are you ready to go forward today to answer this? There is a temporary order in effect. The question is, will I issue a protection order after today? And I want to be sure that you're prepared to respond to this.
Yes, I am prepared.
Okay, well, then we can go forward. All right, so first off, what I'm going to do here is turn to Mr. Petty, started this action, and I'll see if there's anything more other than what you filed with the court, and anything that I should look at in particular from what you've got here from your petition. Let me see if I have, yeah. So we have the petition, and then you filed that, I guess, a screenshot of a communication. I don't exactly know what it's from, but and so that's what the court's considered. So I'm first going to hear from Mr. Petty, and then I'm going to turn to Mr. Snyder, and I'll hear from you, Mr. Snyder, about your response. Was there or was there not unlawful harassment? Should this court issue this order? Is there a basis under the law to do that after today? So, Mr. Petty, then, anything you want to add, anything more, anything you want me to focus on?
Thank you, Your Honor. I was invited to the Thurston County Miniature Aircraft Association by Ron Hill, the treasurer. I had spoken to him on June 6th in the evening, about 6 or 6:15. We spoke for a while. It was about my son ultimately joining their club because he has a recent, well, it's been going on for a few years, finding for aircraft, anything remote control. He's 14 now, as of June 26th. Ron Hill invited me to come out on June 12th in the evening because they were going to start doing the night flies starting at 6 o'clock. I get off work at 6. I told him I'd come on down. I showed up.
Remind me who Ron is again?
He is the treasurer of the
Okay.
board of the Thurston County Miniature Aircraft Association.
Mini aircraft
TCMAA.
thing. That's what I was trying to figure out what that meant. I didn't know what that meant. All right, so Ron is the treasurer. He's an officer, and you called him and he said, 6 p.m. we're doing night flights, come on down.
Yes, and his number was available on the AMA, which is the American Miniature Aircraft website, which is a national club that you can join.
Okay.
My son is a member now. At that time, we were still trying to figure things out. We had gone to places like Viper RC Field, but
Okay. So this was on June 12th.
that I actually arrived, yes.
Okay. And was it just you or you and your son?
It was just me. My son had chosen, because it was the last day of school, to go hang out with his friends and play Nintendo Switch. So
Okay, got it. So, all right. And so where did you go?
to the Thurston County Miniature Aircraft Association's locale, which
So
is
that-
leased by, or they lease it from the Evergreen Sportsman's Club.
That's it. Okay. And so you're at the Evergreen Sportsman's Club property, but you are invited by Ron, the treasurer, and this is where they do their,
Yes, it's
Fine.
an area where the Thurston County Miniature Aircraft Association leases the land from the Sportsman Club, and they have their own easement to get onto marksmen and all that stuff.
okay. And you know all this how?
Because Ron Hill, Matt, and Richard, one of them is the president, the other is the vice president, had gone over all this with me.
Okay, all right. All right, so June 12th, then you go there sometime after 6.
Yep.
And then what happened with Mr. Snyder?
I was there for a while. I play a GPS-based game on my phone. I checked in at the location and, it's for points. And then I kept chatting with the treasurer. I had previously blocked Mr. Snyder from messaging me because I just found him rude. That's about the extent of it.
So how long have you, so did you ever meet Mr. Snyder in person before?
I did.
Okay, and so how long have you been aware of each other?
I would say since the beginning of this year or the end of last year, that we have met in person physically. And at that time, we were very cordial with one another.
It's about 6 months.
Possibly more. November, October, it's somewhere in that neighborhood.
So 6 to 9 months we'll give you.
Sure.
All right, and then you also were on an online game together?
That's how we acquainted with one another.
Okay.
It
all
was
right.
that app, Ingress.
All right. And then at some point you decided you weren't interested in having that contact with him on the online game and you blocked
Or in
him?
person for that matter.
Okay.
He mocked, and I use the word loosely, he mocked the death of my friend. You've heard about the cab driver who was murdered, very close friend of mine. And that individual, Nick Hokum, had played this game.
Okay. And so your impression, you got a,
I just don't want to
Something-
deal with him anymore.
all right. So when was that how did you
May.
block him?
It allows you to not see what the person says to you anymore. And that
Okay.
was sometime in May. I'd
Okay.
have to look back. I don't know.
All right. So is there a message or something sent to the person who's blocked or not? Or?
Nope, they have no idea that I blocked them. And
Okay,
it's
so they
just-
can continue to do
And
whatever.
it doesn't
you have
affect
no
me.
idea.
I don't care. It's
Okay,
the rest of it's just going to XYZ location. Don't need to interact with a person.
okay.
It's all on your phone. You don't need to touch a thing.
All right, so you wouldn't know if he's sending you messages or not.
Correct.
You're just, all right, so then we come to June, anything
June
between.
12th.
all right,
No,
then we
June
come to
12th, a friend of mine, his name is Jim. He told me that I received a message saying that he was going to lock me in. And that's when I unblocked him, saw the message. And
So
that's-
this message went, not, obviously he was blocked, it went to someone else.
Oh, no, it went to me. He sent this message, broadcasted it to the world. That message is not just directed at me. Everybody can see it. In fact, if you were to download this app, you would be able to see it as well.
All right, so then someone else, all right. so
Told
you-
me because they can see it as well. And I hope that I'm not confusing you.
Well, I just want to understand how you got this. So this screenshot then that you gave us.
I took that screenshot.
Okay, and so tell me what I take from this. I'm not familiar with this screen.
Okay,
Chat, where's this from?
so this is from this app that you download called Ingress.
Okay,
There's an area in the game or in this app that allows you to openly communicate. And when these messages are sent in this format, it is broadcasted across both teams, green and blue.
okay, so anyone who's
Everybody can
playing.
read that. Yeah.
Okay, so Miko Magnum is.
Me.
You, okay. And then Show You Man,
That's
Somebody else?
somebody else
Third
entirely.
party. And then Johnny Firewalker,
Firewater.
who's that?
That would be Mr. Snyder.
And how do you know that?
Well, Mr. Snyder introduced himself as Jeremy, and Jeremy Snyder is the manager of that gun club, as identified by his face right there, that I have met in person.
Okay, but how do you associate that with Johnny Firewater? How do you know that's his game?
He introduced himself as Jeremy,
In
also
the game?
in person,
In person.
as well as introduced himself as Jeremy in Campfire, which is a private, direct, one-to-one messaging system.
Okay. And then,
included in that.
so he would come in as Johnny Firewater.
Shows
and
up
then
as
he
Johnny
introduced
Firewater,
himself
an alias,
Got
a
it.
pseudonym.
And then said, I'm Jeremy, manager of the, and so then just trying to connect all these dots. So he comes in as Johnny Firewater, says, I'm Jeremy. Did you say Jeremy Snyder or
No,
Jeremy? And then how do you know he's connected with Evergreen Sportsman?
this is information that he's offered publicly in the game as well as in person,
Okay, and so you got that sometime before June 12th.
well before June 12th.
Okay, so all right, you connected all that. All right, so then we've got the June 12th on the screenshot that I'm looking at that you provided, June or 6:25 p.m. We've got Johnny Firewater, in green, and then Miko Magnum in blue. So tell me what this means. All I can say is if I catch you out there, buddy. So who's saying what?
So if it's green with the two, I don't remember what
Colon?
with the colon, sorry.
Okay.
Saying it to me, so starting with green, 2 dots, and then it says Miko Magnum, that is Johnny Firewater, directing a message at me. Now, this message is broadcast to everyone. So
All right.
you, me, anyone in this courtroom, anyone in the world could read that message.
Okay. And then, okay. And then the next 6:25, Johnny Firewalker in green with a colon, and then Miko Magnum. I have a talk with Derek.
Implying that he would contact Derek Sanders, the Thurston County elected sheriff.
That's how you took it. Okay. So, and at that point on June 12th at 6:25, you understood that Johnny Firewater was Jeremy Snyder, that he was the manager somehow in control of the Evergreen Sportsman Club and entry and exit to that.
The Evergreen Sportsman's Club, yes, not the
Okay.
Thurston County Miniature Aircraft Association.
Okay. All right. And the Thurston County, the THMAA, they lease space periodically from the Sportsman's Club.
Constant
do
from
their
the
thing.
Sportsman's Club.
Okay. And this was one night. All right.
And I did not at 18:25, 6:25, I did not know that message came in. I was not informed of that message, probably for another 45 minutes to an hour,
Okay.
when somebody told me that was said to me.
So by 7:30, you knew there was this
Sometime around there,
message.
yes, Your
Yeah,
Honor.
no later than that. So, all right. Anything else that was broadcast or said or anything else other than this message?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Anything before this that would, why did you interpret this as, I mean, unlawful harassment says, I always have to look at it, knowing and willful course of conduct can be one event, but then there has to be other things, but a course of conduct, so a series of events, however quickly they happen, directed at you to, I have to look at the definition, to seriously annoy, harass, or is detrimental and causes a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress and actually causes the substantial emotional distress and serves no legitimate or lawful purpose. So I have to find all those things in order to issue an order here. And what I'm asking from you is is this one event from June 12th? Is there? So and then you're at June 12th. So before you know of this message, did something happen between you and Mr. Snyder?
I now know that another event happened, and I was informed of that other event.
That's the May 15th that you're talking about?
That's
Or-
actually June 7th.
Okay.
And that individual has requested to not be a part of this because they don't want anybody showing up to their homes to be harassed in that fashion.
All right. So the question is, somebody told you something happened and you,
Jim told me that his brother, who will not be named, showed up at the Thurston County Miniatures Association on June 7th. Now that individual, I don't I don't speak with all that much. He lives in Chehalis. And Mr. Snyder locked that person behind the gate.
Okay. So you heard this from someone who heard this
From
someone.
Jim, who then I confirmed with that individual.
Okay.
And more recently, that individual said they at this point, they don't want to be involved with anything
Right.
because
Well-
they don't want their name associated with anything, and they don't want individuals showing up to their homes,
Okay.
which is a concern because stalkers are real in the real world, and we don't want people stalking us.
Okay. All right. So I appreciate that. I can't really give that much weight of
Right, I
anything because
understand.
we don't have this person. We don't have
It's
any
hearsay at this
statement.
point.
Yeah, you know that word. I can't judge credibility, and Mr. Snyder's put at a disadvantage. He can't question and wonder. We don't know what that was all about, so can't really give that much weight. So going back to May 15th, that was the incident via the message broadcast. Believed that Mr. Snyder was mocking you for mourning your friend who had been murdered. So can you tell me about that? And first off, why do you believe it was Mr. Snyder?
Because Mr. Snyder sent the messages mocking me and me wanting to continue mourning my friend.
Okay.
And
So it was in the same way that you gave us this
just
screenshot.
this, in the same exact fashion,
Okay.
online broadcast.
And-
Information that's accessible still to the state.
What did he say? What did he write?
Um,
Was-
If
was
I
it-
may go get my phone, I left it on the bench. And I
Oh,
could pull
sure.
it up.
Yeah. Keep your belongings with you.
So
Okay. May 15th. What was it that was said there that you said was mocking your mourning of your friend?
So at the mocking of my friend who passed away, that started in this length of conversation at 12:24.
About 12 noon or
At midnight.
midnight? Okay. And what was it that you felt was wrong about the messages that you were getting from Mr. Snyder?
So to put things in context, when you play this game, part of playing it is you have to interact with the location digitally, and it leaves your name stamped at that location until somebody else comes by. Nick had, at that time, 3 locations that still had his name stamped there.
Your friend played this as well?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, he did.
gotcha.
Yeah. And it was agreed at that time that we would just let it be, and if somebody from out of town came by and claimed that, it's no big deal. That evening, I had called Mr. Snyder out for going into some random park after dark because, well, it's against the rules, because it's against the law, that specific park. It's the Friendly Grove Park,
Okay.
closes at dusk. Mr. Schneider went to Tumwater, took the location,
So took
and-
Nick's location.
took Nick's location,
Okay.
one of the last locations that Nick had visited while he was still alive. And then proceeded to say, "Oh, that's what you're mad about. Sorry about that. My bad. I told you I was going to do it. I just need to figure out the right time to do it. And I guess now was the right time to take that location."
Right? And there was a bit of an agreement you felt with some of the folks on this game
There
that
was-
maybe just leave those sites alone and let somebody else.
There is an agreement amongst both teams that if the person knows, everyone has agreed that if you know that that is the last location that a person visited before they passed away, you just don't touch it.
Yeah,
And we understand that somebody from out of town who doesn't know about it is going to visit it, and that's okay. And Mr. Schneider took this as an opportunity to continue on.
okay.
I wish you could see the smile on my face. Why don't you tell me how you really feel? Then he said, does suck when somebody that close to you dies, but also in this, it's just a game. I do have compassion, but not for people like you. I'm sorry I made you feel the way you feel currently right now, but that's your choice, not mine. But again, the smile on my face is ear to ear. And at that point, I ended the conversation. I said, you know what? I'm going to stop right now because I don't want to say anything unrelated to the game in comms. You keep on playing. I need my level 16 sooner or later. That's it.
Okay, all right.
And I haven't said anything to him since. Although I do now see that he continued messaging me that night. Haha, you make funny sound. You know where I'm at. I can tell you, you don't want to go down that road. I'm glad you got your point across that I made you feel sad that I killed your buddy's portal. I don't care. Have a wonderful night. Look, you're still walking sideways. You must be butthurt. If you ever want me to stop with the banter, let me know because I'm going to banter the hell out of you. Now, when he was sending these messages on May 15th, I actually didn't know. And there were more things that were said by me to him.
So you blocked him, but then you did respond.
Oh, I did not respond after I blocked him. There was no response from me after I blocked him.
Okay, so only during this. So
Before that, I had been messaging him too. I was just going on to the points where I had where he began mocking my dead friend. And at that
Okay.
point, that's when I blocked him. Because
all right. Okay, so we've got that event, and then you blocked him, and then since then, the June 12th event,
the June 12th event.
and that's where
Mr. Snyder said he would lock me in behind this cable gate, which I now know in hindsight, something else with the other person that doesn't want to be involved in this.
okay, that maybe it happened before, but we really can't.
Right, because he doesn't want to be a part of this.
Okay, maybe you didn't. So, all right, and then you came to the court a couple of days later, got this filed, and here we are.
The next day I came to the court,
Okay,
filled it out, filed it, and on Friday we have the hearing. And my understanding was the sheriff was supposed to serve it, but
well, it looks like it
weren't.
was. I find that there was personal service, and
Yeah.
Mr. Snyder had sufficient notice for hearing, so that's neither here nor there right now. All right, let me see if I have any other questions before I move on to Mr. Snyder. So all right, so blocked in or locked in, that means to you that you're going to be spending the night.
Physically locked
Outside.
in, blocked in by his car
Okay,
or the cable gate, preventing me from leaving.
okay, in your car, and of course you're out
That
there.
is
I know
why I
what
was on
this
my
is.
motorcycle, and that only means one thing. When somebody says they're going to lock you in, it means they're not going to let you leave.
Yeah, and, all right, and the hurtful messages from May 15.
Yeah.
Okay, in your impression would be fair to say it was obnoxious and hurtful and purposefully doing that to be hurtful.
The words, at least, were mocking me, and I really didn't appreciate it. And I don't want him to communicate with me anymore.
Okay, all right. At any point throughout this, did you have any sense that you were going to be assaulted or harmed or your property harmed?
On the June 12th incident?
Yep.
From reading those messages, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and
That's
Tell me
reasonable
what you
to
were-
assume that somebody is going to lock me in. Now, at the time that I read that, I was already done, and I had gone with my girlfriend to do a trail just up the way.
so you're actually in there right now, or
Uh,
you have left the place?
I had left,
Okay,
met up with my girlfriend, who said she's not too far, and asked if I wanted to do a trail, the Mima Trail.
yeah, but you're not in this
At
area
that time, I
anymore.
was not in
Okay.
that area anymore. I
Right.
concluded my business with, we chatted around. It's smoked. Well, they were smoking. A couple of them were smoking cigars, and they were doing a glide thing. It's
Doesn't really matter, but you
Right.
went in, and so about an hour later, after this all transpired, you had no idea, but an hour
I
later,
had
you
gone
find
down the
out.
trail, find out, and at that point, I called 911, and I asked the sheriff, like, what should I call? I asked them what I should do, and then he said that I should just get an anti-harassment order, because it's clear that I don't want to be blocked in. I don't want the person communicating with me in any way, shape, or form. I don't want them stalking me. And other individuals.
Why do you think he's going to stalk you? Why do you think
Because
he's gonna
other
engage in that?
individuals in this community of explorers, people that go out and do stuff, have been stalked, have been harassed, have been blocked
By
in
Mr. Snyder?
by anybody,
Okay, so it's
And
just a
everyone.
general
It's
concern.
just a general
Okay,
concern.
gotcha.
and it's not something that is specific to just Mr. Snyder. However, members of his friend circle, including Mr. Mac Lamb, Eduardo Martinez, two close friends of his, they have gone through and they have stalked, they have blocked people in, they have that Mac Lamb out of
How do you know this?
because we're a large community and we all talk and we all see each other's papers when this stuff comes about, because we try to stay away from that person, because that means that person is dangerous and you need to stay away.
Okay.
So
it's kind of general discussion in the community.
It's a general, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. McLam had in fact blocked in a.
We're not going to go down that bird walk here, so because
it's not relevant to this specific.
Can consider though,
right,
even without any corroborating evidence. So, all right. So let me turn to Mr. Snyder on all this. So, Mr. Snyder, your side of this, these events.
So I'm the manager at the Evergreen Sportsman's Club. And so when I first met Jacob was back in November, just before Thanksgiving. And at that time, there was a portal on the club, at the front door of the club. And on Thanksgiving night, I was in Spokane, and he came out probably in between the hours of 8 and 10 p.m. and destroyed the portal, took out the portal, put his name on the portal and everything of that sort. I messaged him and told him that he shouldn't be out on private property after hours. He told me that it was a public easement and that he was going to continue to come out. So after that, I had talked with the board and everything of that sort, the president and the vice president of the club, who are my boss. And I was like, I'm having a problem with this gentleman and everything of that sort. How can we deal with this? And so what they asked me to do was to remove the portals off of the club. So that's what I did. I removed the portals off the club. And
when did you do that? When did that happen?
That happened in December, January, because so you have to talk to the company and see if they're willing to do it. I had to send my ID. I had to send information that I was the manager of the club and everything of that sort. And so they removed the portals. All right. Then back, so at that time, me and Jacob were cordial and everything of that sort. We had gone back and forth destroying each other's portals and everything of that sort.
So is that, help me understand that better, in this online game, for lack of a better word, destroying each other's portals, is that aggressive maneuver? Is that, what is that?
I'm a green guy and he's a blue guy. And so when you destroy a portal, so there's green, there's white, there's and blue and red. Red is Machina, which is an AI generated portal capture. Then you have a blue side, which is a person player, and then you have a green side, which is a person player. And you get to pick the faction. And so what will happen is you'll have a blue player that will take over a portal. And then you'll have a green player that comes up and takes over that portal. And it normally goes back and forth. Normally everybody's really, really cordial with each other and everything of that sort. And it's just a fun game to spend time at the end of the day when you're just trying to waste time.
So, so that's part of the game, is destroying each other's portals. Okay, and I see Mr. Petty nodding. Yep, that's what it's about. All right, so Mr. Snyder, go on from there.
So then the incident happened with Nick Home or some, I don't know the guy's name. It's like I've only met Miko twice or Jacob twice. The first time I ever met him was at the Mima Mounds Trailhead, and he was in a Ready cab and we talked. We were very cordial and everything of that sort, and we went our separate ways. Then about 3 months later, his friend had passed away or got murdered, and we were still cordial with each other and everything of that sort. And he messaged me to let me know what was going on with the case. He was telling me what they're doing to the cab cars, how they're putting armor and odds and ends of safety precautions for the drivers and everything of that sort, and that they were still looking for the vehicle that had been stolen from Mr. Holm or Nick, or Nicholas. I really don't know his name.
Well, can you talk about the May 15th event when we get going into these allegations?
So the May 15 event was that was when I was mocking him about his buddy's death. Is this correct?
That's the allegation, right?
So with that and everything of that sort, he had messaged me about being in a park and everything of that sort, and I was there with another agent that actually lives in that community, and he was out there walking his dog.
So
We walked around.
Mr. Petty was out walking his dog, or your other
No,
agent? Okay,
another agent.
all right.
And then I received a message from Jacob saying that I shouldn't be out in the park, that it's illegal, that it's after hours, and so I decided that he was upset with me and everything of that sort, and I might as well make him more upset with me. And we had talked about in the past about me going down and trying to switch that portal over without taking the guy's name off of it. Well, it wasn't possible. He told me that it wasn't possible and everything of that sort, and just to leave it alone. Well, it's a game and it's a back and forth thing and everything of that sort. And so I went down there and I destroyed the portal, and I took it and put my name on it. Well, then he messaged me telling me that I destroyed his friend's portal and that it was messed up and everything of that sort. And I continued to go back and forth with he would message me and then I'd message him back, and then he'd message me and I'd message back. During that time, it was a very it was kind of a very disrespectful conversation, but also on the other side of it, I didn't think that I was being aggressive or trying to I was trying to make him upset, but I wasn't trying to cause any problems. It was just a banter. It was mutual harassment is the way that I looked at it. And also too, we were both angry at each other at the time and everything of that sort. And I after that incident and everything of that sort, he asked me not to message him, or it was either I asked him not to message me or he asked me not to message him, and we were in a mutual agreement with that. Well, then later on down the road, he came out here to the property again, and I told him that he wasn't allowed on the property because I'm the manager of the club out here on the property and everything of that sort, and that he didn't need to be out here. He wasn't a member of the club. He wasn't a member of.
So are we talking about the June 12th event or something else?
This had happened from November all the way up until just recently to the last event that happened on June 6th or June 12th, or yeah, it was June 12th after that when he came out. And
how many times since November do you think you had? I mean, because let's see, January the portals were removed.
Yes.
Through work with the company, and then since then, did you have information that Mr. Petty was using or trying to access those portals at the club that you disagreed with before June 12th?
What had happened is out there at the aerodome, the Tacoma miniature aerodome and everything of that sort, somebody created a portal out there. And because of the way that the land is set up, you have the gun club, and then the airspace or the airport is a sectioned off area that is still part of the Evergreen Sportsman's Club property, but it's not considered, or on their map, on the ingress map, it's not considered the Evergreen Sportsman's Club property. It's considered the TCMAA. And so somebody was able to produce a portal out there. Right. And when they did that and everything of that sort, about 2 weeks after it was out there, somebody came out and destroyed the portal. And then another 2 weeks later, he came out and destroyed the portal. I made a public broadcast on the ingress game, of people shouldn't be out at the club after hours unless they're members or I have been notified to know that they're out here, because that is my job. My job, I live right on the front end of the club as you drive into the club. And so my job is security of the club property and maintenance and management of the club.
Okay.
And so I asked him again not to come out to the property, and because he is trespassing, and if I caught him out here again and everything of that sort, that I was going to lock the gate. That I understand now was something stupid that I should have never ever said, because that is on the borderline of entrapment it's just wrong. I shouldn't have never even said that.
Okay.
And that is one thing that I understand that I did wrong. But talking with the members, the director of the board, all of the board members and everything of that sort of the club property, they were in agreement with me not allowing him out on the property. And he hadn't come out on the property from, we'll say, January to April, January to May. And so I figured there wasn't any issue. I figured everything would be water under the bridge. I wouldn't have to deal with any type of criminal trespass. I wouldn't have to have the board write out a documentation of trespassing him through the board and trespassing him via criminally. I thought everything was done and over with. And so then he came out and destroyed that portal. I told him that he was trespassing on private property, and that if I caught him out here, that I was going to lock him in.
So that was the June 12th message that you sent around 6:30. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And when you say I'm going to have a talk with Derek, who's Derek?
So Derek Sanders is the sheriff of the appointed sheriff of Thurston County Sheriff's Office.
That's what I mean. Okay.
And so
All right. So then anything within that messaging or since then that I should know about?
I believe after that, I did not message him anymore after that.
Did you get a response at all from that June 12th from Mr. Petty?
I did not. And I think that's the reason why I didn't respond.
All right. Okay. So since then, and since this order, anything I should know?
So currently right now, so next week, we have a board meeting. And so I had showed the board the what had happened, how I got served with harassment papers and everything of that sort. And the board is currently working out a documentation of trespassing him from the property completely.
So it sounds like there's also a board for the mini
Miniature Aerodrome, yes.
Thurston County Miniature Aircraft Association.
So there's a board there. And in order to get to their area of the Evergreen Sportsman's Club, they have to cross the Evergreen Sportsman Club portion to get to their area, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so it sounds like these two boards, I mean, I hear that a treasurer, Ron Hill, and other officers gave Mr. Petty permission to be there on the 12th. Any information that you have about that?
So the board of directors from the Evergreen Sportsman's Club did not know that he was out there trying to get a membership of that club. Back when he had trespassed on the property back in November, when I talked with the club about it, or the board of directors about it, they told me that if he came back out to the club property and everything of that sort, to call the sheriff and have him criminally trespassed. He had not.
But then the Thurston County Mini Aircraft Association is giving him permission on June 12th to be there, and you were not aware of that?
I was not aware of that. And so, like I said earlier, my job is to keep security out here on the property and everything of that sort. And from time to time, the guys, they'll leave the property and they'll leave the gate unlocked. So there'll be times where I'll go and I'll take my dog for a walk and the gate will be unlocked. And so I'll lock it. I'll normally walk down there to the end and everything of that sort where they fly the planes, see if there's anybody there, see if there's any type of malicious activity that has gone on out there and everything of that sort, and then turn around and walk back home. It is my daily routine. It's something that I got asked to do by the board of directors because the Evergreen Sportsman Club leases the property to the Tacoma Aerodome. Normally anytime that there's any type of new members or anything of that sort, when the Aerodome gets their information and everything of that sort, they send it to the Evergreen Sportsman's Club. And then the two groups, the two different boards get together and find out if it's okay to have this person out here. If they've had any type of, if they're like a felon or because there's firearms. It's a gun club. It's a sport club.
So then on June 12th, you weren't aware that the Aircraft Association had given Mr. Petty permission, and you are telling me that you were doing your job for your association that you were hired to do, securing. And so after you sent that message about 6:25, the screenshot that's in the court file from Mr. Petty, what did you do next? Anything?
I didn't do anything. I had, the only thing that I did do is I called the president of the club and told him that the situation was happening again, and he told me to keep an eye on it, and as soon as anything happened again, to instantly call the sheriff.
Okay.
And then after that incident, nothing did happen.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Mr. Snyder?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If I have any other questions for either one of you. Good things here. All right. So, Mr. Petty, Mr. Snyder, the court does not find that there was unlawful harassment as defined by the law. Now, May 15th, rude, obnoxious, intentionally mean, I think put a disrespectful conversation, however many adjectives I can find, it was ugly.
Yes, very
But
much.
unfortunately, the law tells this court, the decisions by the Supreme Court and the ones that rule us, rude, obnoxious behavior is not something that the court is to issue. That's not unlawful harassment, not to, unfortunately we have to put up with rude and obnoxious behavior. Then I couple that with the June 12th event. I hope the boards get together, but sounds like Mr. Petty had permission from an organization, from officers. It said, yeah, come on down, see if you want to join us. You didn't know about that. You were doing your duties pursuant to your board. So what you were doing did have a legitimate or lawful purpose. There weren't any, I think the generalized worry of stalking, the generalized worry, I can't issue orders on just those generalized concerns. It has to be, as I said, a specific course of conduct committed by Mr. Snyder against you with the purpose of causing substantial emotional distress and causing that and having no legitimate or lawful purpose. So I don't find that you meet this, but this has been instructive, obviously. You both, it sounds like an interesting game. You get to go around and so I hope you can both continue playing that without having to deal with each other if you don't want to. But it's going to be up to the two of you to decide who you deal with and if you do or don't. And it's obvious, Mr. Snyder, that Mr. Petty really doesn't want anything to do with you. And maybe at this point that would be wise of you as well. So there won't be any order after today. And I'm signing an order that does that, and no further hearings. And I hope that this kind of puts things to rest. And I hope that the boards do a better job maybe of notifying each other when someone's given permission by their officers to be somewhere. But that's not for me to make a decision on. That's for the boards to kind of deal with that miscommunication. All right, so that's it for today. I'm going to write out an order. I can give you a copy, a hard copy today if you'd like, Mr. Petty, because you're here. Mr. Snyder, this denial order will be in the court file, or you can use your Zoom instructions to get in there and get a copy, or just contact the court. We can help you with that. but I'll write this up, and by tomorrow it should be available on in the court file for sure. I'm just going to give you a hard copy since you're here, Mr. Petty. So, Mr. Snyder, you can be on your way if you like, and that's it for today.
Thank you very much for your time, and you have a wonderful day.
All right, thanks. Me takes a little bit filling this out. Hang in there.
No worries.
The request by Ms. Henderson for an order against her neighbors, the Agultos. Am I saying your last name correctly?
Yes.
Agulto.
Agulto.
There's no consonant in there's
Agut- no L.
no L,
Like drop
no
the L.
consonant.
Okay, got it.
Only the
Agulto.
American English that is
Agu-
pronounced L.
Let me throw it in there
Right.
hard. Okay, Aguto. All right, got it. I'll keep working on that. So, I've had an opportunity to, obviously, Ms. Henderson, to review all the information here and the Agutos to all that's been filed with the court. There are a couple of exhibits. Where did that go? Get photos, right? Photos and a statement from Ms. Henderson in the court file. So first off, looks like Aguto, you've received notice of this. You got the petition, you got the notice of the hearing on the 22nd. And you did get a petition and all the information.
We got the policeman case.
Okay, all right. So let me jump back to Ms. Henderson. Ms. Henderson, are you still seeking this order against your neighbors?
Sadly, yes.
Okay, and the Agutos, are you objecting to the court issuing an order against you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Then, Ms. Henderson, this is the day for the hearing, and we've got what we've got in the court file. Are you ready for the hearing? You ready to present your
Yes.
information? Okay, so you're not going to be looking for someone else that you don't have there, or some other documents you don't have there. Today's the day.
Today's the day.
You know, Okay,
Yeah, actually,
right.
this is the second time because unfortunately, the first time I misunderstood the court date and missed it. So I had to refile again.
all right. That. All right, so looking to Francisco Aguto and Liz Aguto. I'm not sure who's going to be our spokesperson, who's
Well,
the lead.
You go first, and then I'll finish it up because
Yeah.
I think this is.
Okay, so
So
I'll
we'll
start
on,
with Ms. Aguto.
But
All right.
Your Honor,
Well, you just told me to talk to your wife
Hold
first.
on.
Should I or not?
I'll just speak briefly, but he's the
Well,
one.
first off, I just want to tell you the ground rules here. If there is some way to resolve this, it's usually not in court. We have something called the Dispute Resolution Center here in
I've
town.
tried that. I've tried that. Mhm.
And you tried it. I think you wrote in your note there that there wasn't, were the Agutos, were you willing to talk with the Dispute Resolution Center to help resolve this?
no, because
No?
I go through that city, and the city tells me something.
Mhm.
So they told me to finish up all the administrative processes and procedures.
Are you
And that
suing,
will-
are you suing the city?
No.
No.
Because we don't have any homeowners association.
Mhm.
So I depend on the law.
Well.
And so
all
I
right.
just,
So you're not willing to talk, have a trained mediator help you solve what your problem is?
we'll get to there, Your Honor, and
Well, today, that's what I'm saying. We're at trial. This decision is going to be made today, if everyone's ready, about whether there's an order that, with this fence line and neighbors and no contact, and violation of that could be a criminal offense that puts someone in jail. So
no, that's
today, that's what
I
today's
understand that.
about.
I
So
understand that.
there's another possible route, if the parties are willing, is the Dispute Resolution Center has been working out people's disputes for probably 40 years in this county. And they come to this court at least once a week and help us with our small claims calendar. They go to Superior Court. They help people who are divorcing with their parenting plans. They go around all of Thurston County with neighborhood disputes. And it's a good way to be able to find a way to talk together and get these kind of disputes resolved. And I'm just wondering, it sounds like Ms. Henderson, if I remember in your, let me just go back to your statement here that's in your exhibits. Yeah, you contacted Dispute Resolution Center to see if your neighbors would participate. and they couldn't do things till July or August, okay?
Right, but
So-
also they said no. So
So
the go
turning back to
Gutos-
Francisco and Liz, are you willing to take some time with the Dispute Resolution Center to help you talk with your neighbor about figuring out how to work this out?
Well, Your Honor, if I may say something.
Are you willing to do that or not?
Well, because I'm not finished yet with the.
How does that impact having a third party help you talk to your neighbor about the fence line? It sounds like it's pretty simple,
Well,
but would it be, would you be willing to talk to the Dispute Resolution Center?
there are courses that are done by them. I only.
So there's
I'll
an
get to
easement, it
be
sounds like
informed
there's a
in-
dispute about the line of whose property, what property starts and what property ends. Is
Well, we
that
went
right?
through
Is there a dispute about where your property ends and where their property ends? Is that
Yes.
this? Okay. And that is not going to get decided today. That is not for
Yeah,
this
yeah, I
court.
understand. Yeah.
If that's a dispute, you have to file that dispute in the Superior Court and they can make those decisions. Or maybe you can get it figured out with the Dispute Resolution Center and make some agreements on
They
your
won't-
own without courts.
may
So
may I
that's what
say
I'm,
something?
stop, Ms. Henderson. I'm talking
Oh,
to
I'm
the
sorry.
Gutos. I know
Sorry.
it's hard to
I
understand that when
apologize.
you're on Zoom and they're here.
I understand.
All right, so that's what I'm trying to, the threshold here is if you want to find a resolution to this, you can always file your lawsuit in Superior Court about your line, your property line. I'm not going to make any decisions about that. I don't have that authority and I will not be going there. What I'm being asked to do is issue an order between neighbors that share a fence line that says don't contact each other and don't do certain things. The things that you do on your property as well, Ms. Henderson, I can't make that really change. How people use their property is a Superior Court issue. I don't have that authority, so if it's on
May
their
I say
property and
something?
they're using it, that's about it. So if you have an argument about their use of their property, that's not for this court. The issue is different. So before we get going, and we can do a trial today, but before we get going, Liz Aguto, is there any willingness to talk with the Dispute Resolution Center's help?
Well, anything to solve this problem, Your Honor, because we have no access, exiting, entry and exiting on our side. They blocked us. So for all these years, we were trying, at one time in 2016, we tried to sell the house, but the agent stopped us and said that we have to resolve the fence first, because how can they sell our property if that fence is not resolved? It's like we cannot enter or exit from our share property. It's called the land use, the 5 feet. They took the entire they took our marker where our
So this is
retaining
a
wall.
property dispute. This
It
is,
is.
yeah, that's turning into be a real conflict
But this
potentially.
is all because of that, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's what I divined when I looked through all of
This
this.
is all because of that.
So you need to get that solved potentially, and you can still talk with Dispute Resolution Center, or you can go to Superior Court and file a lawsuit about it if you want.
One more thing.
Sure.
On June 22, the sheriff came to serve us the morning, 9 a.m. in the morning, to serve us the complaint. At around 3:30, I just happened to be at my microwaving something when I saw Mrs. Henderson coming, because my dining room window faces their door of their garage faces. And I just so happened that when I was standing there, I saw Mrs. Henderson walking up from their garage right to my property, and she started spraying. I immediately went to my window and I knocked her. I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I am not touching your property," but she was spraying. And I said, "Stop." She continued, even when I told her to stop, she continued going down, further down and continued to spray. I called my husband. So, Your Honor, she said protective order, anti-harassment. Yet on that same day that we were served, She tampered with my property.
Let me hear first from Ms. Henderson. It sounds like we're gonna have a trial today, so if you want to do any work with Dispute Resolution Center, you can do that on the
I will do
side,
that.
but if there's an order of protection, that makes it difficult. And again, this court does not resolve easements, does not resolve property land disputes, can't really make people act nicely to each other either. So I'm just going to hear, is there a basis or not to issue an order under the unlawful harassment laws? So Ms. Henderson, I'll turn to you first, and then I'll turn to the Agutos, and then I'll make that decision today. So Ms. Henderson, I've looked at your petition. Obviously, I've read, looked at the pictures and your statement that you made. And what would you like to add? What would you like to say?
First of all, I would like to say that, first I'll apologize for interrupting you. I was going off the previous hearing, and I thought you were going to check in with me, and I got
Don't worry about it.
impatient, so apologize. So,
It's okay.
what I would like to say is that, so we've had the city out, and I know this isn't about the fence, but and that you can't solve the fence line. I just want you to know that we've had the city out. The city has looked at the markers. They've made the measurements. Our fence is on our property. I mean, if they want to go to court, then they will need to go to court, because we're not going to do that. In the meantime, they have harassed us with banging on drums, loud music, hanging sanitary napkins with fake blood over right above our fence on a holiday when we have company.
And when was this? Help me with timing.
This was on
again.
Mother's Day, May 26th.
Okay.
And
let me get to
excuse me,
your-
on Mother's Day, and then again on Memorial Day weekend, May 26th, recent. Last summer, Frank began cutting down the fence. We had to call the police. We called the police on May the 26th, Sunday of Memorial Day weekend, because Frank was yelling so out of control. He was throwing garbage over the fence. He threw garbage at my grandson. There is no talking with them. They do not listen. They talk over us. We have tried over and over again to try to resolve this issue peacefully, but the rage and the anger is frightening on Frank's part. And this is a person that I used to count as a friend. I count Liz as a friend, but they will not listen. They talk over us. And even the police officer said they're very passionate. They will not listen. You're going to have to go to court to resolve this. The police officer told me to get an anti-harassment because he said clearly there is harassment going on, but we can't do anything without an order. They have placed rotting garbage right next to my shed. What I was spraying that day was I was spraying a pesticide on it because the flies and the maggots and the stench is so bad. So we've worked with the city to get them to remove the garbage, but Frank has told them that it is deterrent because he's smoking something, and it's a bird deterrent. But actually, it's just rotting garbage. And the stench is so bad, I can't be in my backyard on warm days or when the wind is blowing right. They have a walk with rotting garbage in it. And, you know, I was really just trying to kill the flies because the flies are out of control. It's attracting rodents. And I'm fearful for when he becomes angry. It frightens me because it's as if he's going to come right. He hasn't, but I don't know how it's going to escalate. And it's very upsetting and disconcerting. The reason my husband isn't here is he's out of town for 3 weeks. And so anyway, I don't know. I really don't know what to do. Every person in our neighborhood has a fence. Every single house, there's 13 homes. There are fences between. Frank and Liz, or Liz has gone and talked to our neighbor, and he tried to explain to her on the side where the Hendersons have their garage door, you don't have as much access. Your access is on the other side. But he said that there was no reasoning there. We put up a fence for the purpose of our dog and to keep deer from eating my plants, for no other reason. But the loud banging on drums, the bloody underwear and underwear hanging on above our fence line is very embarrassing when we have company, and very disturbing to me, because I care about these people. I care about them.
So when did that happen?
That happened on Mother's Day of this year, 2024.
This year. So things started to pipe up in May of this year.
No, last summer they did
again.
too. When he attempted to cut the fence down, we had to call the police.
Right. That was July of 2023. And then, but you know, a year, almost a year
Ramped up.
passes. So after, all right. So things are starting to, and then May was of this year's when the loud drumming, clanging of cymbals, running a weed eater against metal, playing loud music, hanging underwear and items. So when you say above your fence line, are they on the fence? What are they?
No, just right above it, suspended right above it in our backyard.
Clothesline or something?
No, they took like a big rake and hung bloody sanitary napkins and underwear and bras.
A rake. All right. And so how high
They
is that?
suspended the rake up above the fence so that it was right above the fence on the fence line.
How high is that fence, do you think?
It is 8 feet.
So that would have been, all right.
10 feet up. Yeah, they had it propped up. They have the walk is propped up on chairs and up high as well.
And you can see that from parts of your house?
Yeah, I can see all of it. And the garbage, the rotting garbage is right next to our property.
So these pictures that you took, I presume you took these two pictures that you provided?
Yes.
And when did you take these pictures generally?
I took them the day I filed.
Okay. And
would you like to see, I don't know if you can see this, but this is the.
Okay, so it's like, looks like implements.
Yeah.
Things on, right? So, so the pictures that you took here, you provide the court here. One has, you're looking at the side of or the corner of a fence line.
That's our fence. That's our fence.
Okay. And
all the fences in our property, people have their fences right next to the rock walls. And the lines are all very straight. Our property is 56 foot wide. Theirs is 50 feet wide. The home across from us, it's the exact same dimensions. So the fences, everybody has fences. And we spoke to their real estate person last summer, and we showed her
some questions to you because it's kind of all over the place. This picture is the corner. So the gray is your property, and then to the right is the Agutos. And then the next picture, just trying to load it, is dishes full of what you wrote on here, maggot infested. And I don't know where are these? I see part of a rock wall and chips.
Yeah, so the rock wall is is right on the property line, and it's sitting right on, they've got wood chips on it. And so it's right there. So it's basically right next to the fence.
Okay, so I see in the other picture that you had here that there's just a small gap, maybe a foot gap between the rock wall and
right. We actually moved it over.
All right, and
so we actually placed our fence about 12 inches over from the property line, and at the top it's more like 6. But we took down. Originally, he gave us permission to put it on his property. So last summer we removed it down in a good faith effort. We took it off. We reconstructed it down on the other side of the rock wall because he no longer wanted it there. So we did that. Okay.
So then you say that on May 26th that there was a disagreement and Mr. Aguto started yelling and spitting. and throwing rotting garbage on your property, and your grandson, I guess, came out to see, and then it was still being thrown directly at them. So tell me, so you're on your side of this 8-foot fence, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And spitting. I don't understand.
I think the spitting was basically not intentional spitting, but just so angry.
How did you see him? If there's this 8-foot fence, you're not over 8 feet tall.
Okay, so there's an opening, and the place where you see in the picture, we went outside of our fence on our property, and our neighbor, our guest said, hey, you know, you can't throw property over here. And that's when he kind of went ballistic.
Okay, so throwing, so that's when, all right. And so what was it that came over on your side of the fence?
Crab shells, little pieces of garbage.
Garbage, what do you mean?
Trash.
Could I buy it? Like paper or?
Paper, trash, crab shells. My husband, he put the garbage down in behind on our property where the fence line is. So my husband just picked it up and set it back on their property, and to let them know, you can't put that down there. That is our property.
Garbage can?
No, a bag of garbage. So they like to put seafood out so that it's really strong smelling. And so that's what they were throwing, is pieces of crab shell and seafood and stuff that was in the bag. Stuff like what you see in the picture.
And when you say that, let's see, get there again. So when you say that, so then your grandson, how old is your grandson?
16.
Okay. So then they come out to see what's going on and see if your husband's okay, Brian's okay. Then you say that Mr. Aguto begins throwing garbage at you and at your grandson. So how did you, so it's coming over the fence. How's anyone seeing that he's
Well, my daughter videotaped it. So the garbage is coming over the fence.
Yeah, over the fence, an 8-foot fence. So how do you know
it's coming over the 8-foot fence? Like he's throwing it. I had a video. I should have resubmitted the video.
How do you, what I'm asking is, how do you know his intention is at you rather than just chucking it over the fence, that he's directing?
Because I have a video. We have a video of the whole thing. We have a video on the side of our house, and it shows him.
Sorry, we don't need a video. You were there, correct?
Yes, I was there.
Okay, so just tell me, why did you believe that he was intending to hit you or your grandson with this?
Okay, so that's on the outside of the fence. So I'm behind the fence. The garage, the door that's going here is open. I'm standing right here, and I can see a piece of garbage come over, and my grandson ducked.
Okay, all right. So I didn't. All right, and then so the police get involved there, and they come over and talk to everybody. Okay, so if the court were to issue this order, what exactly are you trying? What are you trying to solve? What do you want? What do you want this? What do you want to stop?
I want peace in my own backyard. I don't want to have fear that if I go out, I'm going to have banging drums, noises, loud music, intentional on the days we have company. I don't want to smell rotting seafood that is designed to harass us by the placement of it right on the property line. And I just want peace. I just want peace. The dispute resolution people told us they cannot do a thing about the fence, the property line. That has to go to Superior Court. But they said they could help us find a way to negotiate peace, to stop this behavior.
Okay. Yeah.
If they were open and willing.
Yeah. All right. So
and I'd also tried talking with their son and asked if perhaps a family member could sit down with us, but nothing happened.
So those loud noises, the bad smells from the rotting carcasses of items, and obviously you don't want garbage thrown over the fence.
Correct.
And all right. All All right. And so this obviously, all right. So your timeline here takes us back a ways to when the fence kind of goes up and then things went south in last summer. Is that about right? Last summer?
Yeah, and I could just say one more thing. Last summer, we did talk to their real estate person to help her understand there isn't a property line issue. And we showed her everything. And she agreed that there doesn't appear to be a property line issue at all because all of the homes in this cul-de-sac are built that we have just this very simple little property line, and there's it looks like this, and there's just no.
Yeah, I think we're getting off
no
on something that really
curvature.
isn't relevant. It's not really relevant to my
But
decisions
what
here.
I'm trying to
I have a
say is there's
question
no
for you.
reason for the
I have a
harassment.
question for you in May. When did all this loud, what time of the day was the blaring music and the hanging of the underwear, the metal
It lasts till
drum?
10 o'clock at night, and the underwear stayed up for a couple days.
Okay, and so it started, it was during the day up to 10 p.m.
Yep,
Okay.
on that day. And they have stopped
So-
doing the music. The music has stopped because the last judge, when I didn't show up for the hearing, the last judge told me that he told them that it was childish behavior and they needed to stop. So they did stop doing that.
You're saying, all right.
Yeah, the judge, when I came forth to get the temporary position, he said he met with the Agultos. He wanted to know why I wasn't there. And he told me that he told them to stop the childish behavior. So
All
they
right,
have
so-
stopped that.
Is there anything that I'm going to hear from the Agutos that you've done in retaliation that I should hear about?
The one thing that I did was I sprayed pesticide on their garbage right next to on the property line. I did
Okay,
do
how
that.
did you do that? Did you come around your fence in that gap?
No,
between,
no,
or
in
did
the
you
back,
go
the other part, the fence is only on the backyard of the property. Our houses are adjoined in the front. So
Okay.
what that means is our yards are adjoined. What that means is when I come out my garage door, there's a whole open space and our houses are right next to each other. And so
Okay.
I'm on my property, which is up to the rock wall, and I was spraying some other things, and I just sprayed the pesticide on the rotting garbage to kill the flies and the maggots.
Okay. All right. Anything else before I turn to the Agutos?
No.
Okay. Let me turn to the Agutos. I can't have you all at the same time. So somebody start and then I'll turn to the next person.
Let her finish first and then I'll come back.
So let me hear from your wife first.
Yeah.
Okay. So Liz Aguto.
Yes, Your Honor,
As to this.
I did on Mother's Day. We put out loud music. This was during the day.
Mhm.
During the day, I stopped the music before it be. I would say maybe 5 o'clock.
So that was part of
stopped
your
it.
Mom's
It
Day
was-
celebration, or what was that all about?
Yeah, it was Mother's Day celebration. It was
Okay.
during the day. I did stop it. I did hang up that because, Your Honor, for the longest time, I really felt deprived, from entering and exiting from our side. These people, they claim that even the retaining wall
Easters.
that came with our house, they're claiming that it's on their property. Even the post where
So let me back you up. So yes, you hung up those. What were
I-
you hanging on those garden implements over the fence? What was that?
I'm sorry.
What was it that you hung up on the rakes and
Yes,
so
I
forth?
did.
What was that?
That day I was
Disturbed.
I was disturbed. Yes, Your Honor, that day, because I will just tell you that there are nights when I become sleepless because I have a problem. They have created the wall that they said that they moved from the retaining wall down. They have created a danger. It's a ditch.
I see it in the picture that was supplied.
If a kid, like I was always
Let me
afraid that
back you up again. What was it that you hung up?
I did the patty underwear. I did, and
Okay.
also I did a bra, and I did. Yes,
Why did you do that?
huh?
Why did you do that?
To get attention because Your Honor,
Okay.
for the last 9 years, although my husband was trying to resolve this, nothing everything was so calm. So I decided for some reason that day I needed attention. I needed to get the attention that I am against, or I am very upset with their fence on my side.
Okay.
That
You-
I,
all right.
Your Honor, everything was
So, and there
coming
were
to me.
red spots on that. Did you put paint on them or something to
It
make
was
them look?
nail polish.
Okay.
It was
So
nail
you made
polish.
it look offensive.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And you knew someone would take offense.
Attention. Yeah.
All right.
And
And
Yes,
you had to work to get that about 10 to 11 feet up. Well, you're on the rock wall. So
see,
it
Your
went
Honor,
up pretty high.
this is a slope. The house
Yeah.
is a slope. So we have a retaining wall that came with the houses. And I was really, really upset by this time
Yeah.
because I couldn't sell my house when I tried. And the agent that they were referring, I did contacted them, about we're still trying to resolve the fence problem. And so again, the thing that upsets me is that I cannot invite friends with young children or friends with grandchildren to come to the house because of fear that somebody could get injured, because it's a ditch, Your Honor. It's like 3 feet deep because there's a gap.
Yep. I see that in
and-
the picture.
And here, these people are going to have a party, and here I cannot even do anything. I cannot even invite friends over for fear that somebody's going to get injured in that
So
area.
let me ask you about these allegations from Ms. Henderson also about, and there are these pictures that you may have looked at as well, about dishes of, looks like meat of some nature out in the sun, and she's alleging that it has maggots and flies. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, Your Honor, I did. Because when my husband tried to make a complaint with the city, the part of I think the suggestion is show resistance, show
Hostility.
hostility,
Oppose.
show opposition. So the only opposition I thought of is if I get those, whenever they come and leave, they will be reminded that I want them to remember that I am opposing that fence. I needed them to not to forget, that want them to get their fence off off our side of the property.
All right. So that's what that was about. And
So-
this raised walk, I don't understand what that's about. Is there such a thing?
The walk. I'm sorry.
What is that about? There's an allegation of seafood in a walk that's raised
He
high
will
with a
answer that, Your
ladder.
Honor.
Okay. Can you tell me about that? And before you do
Yes,
that-
Your Honor. And I'm so glad that
One second. Can I have the packets? I can look at them. Okay.
It's the whole.
Got it. All right. So back to you, Mr. Aguto. So this walk raised with a high ladder above the fence with seafood in it. What's that about? Did that happen?
they have been harassing us for years.
Tell me about the seafood, this
Yes.
allegation of this walk. Tell me
What they
that
do-
is. I'm asking you,
Yes,
does
sir.
that happen?
They
or
have
not?
Invited birds into the rear side, the rear yard of their place. And part of
So
our
again,
house.
Mr. Aguto, I want you to answer my question directly. Was there a raised walk was there
Yes,
not?
yes, yes,
Okay, and
because-
so what was that about? Did you do that? Did somebody else do
Yes,
that?
yes, because I do what is sensible, because I was asking down at the state environmental protection, and I was asking if I can use poison to kill the birds that they invited, because they put bird feeders.
Okay,
And the
and,
bird feeder is not just 2 inches. They're about 8 feet, maybe 9 feet, maybe higher than that.
okay,
So the birds go there. But when the birds were there, actually the birds were inside the woods, the wooden area.
Mhm.
And the neighbor that had this big tree, and they cut it off, but there was a bird, very nuisance bird, it's called woodpecker.
Mhm.
This is a woodpecker that has, and they can bore into a,
what does this have to do with the walk? Get me back to the walk.
yes, and there's so many birds. and they're going into my roof.
Okay, all
And
right.
that's the reason that I have to apply natural bird deterrent.
Okay,
And Your Honor, I have to apologize because English is my second language.
okay.
So if I use the word deterrent, that's what to make the bird fly away so that I don't use gun or air rifle to expire the bird. Birds, these are birds.
And
So that's the
so,
main reason why we have that deterrent. And I went and I met a person, an elder out of Nisqually, Indian. And I was asking, what kind of potion do you use in your reservation area to kill? No, don't do that. Because if you do that, they're gonna arrest you. So I'm afraid. So I said, what kind of natural? Do you eat crab? Yes. Do you eat salmon? Yes, I fish them. And that is the bird smells. The bird doesn't like the smell. So the bird flies away. Not yet at this time, there's no birds there. Why? Because of the deterrent that I applied, whether they like it or not. Unfortunate. But Your Honor, we come from an island and we have not just 3 birds or 3 chickens. We got 200 chickens. There's so many. So the smell is natural to us, to me,
okay,
because I raise them and I go out and take the fattest hen and I'll cook it and eat it. Those crabs, I was told, is natural. It's not poisonous. The birds don't like it. So right now, since I put it, there's no birds.
so the worry is birds getting into your attic.
They go and they make nests and my son has to climb that and remove them, but they hatch and they fly away.
Yeah.
But
and
now
they're
they don't come back.
in your attic,
And there's called a east.
under the eaves.
Yeah, and then there's opening.
Yep, little
And then
opening.
there's so
And so
birds go in there.
you didn't,
And there's also
yeah, you didn't think about covering that opening and have.
no, I cannot because I'm going to affect the marketability of the house that we have.
Covering the opening to
Oh,
your
there's so many
meat?
because right outside that is facing them, there is a protrusion of a fireplace, and it goes up maybe about 3 feet from the foundation line to outside. And then there's a hitch that makes it more than 3 feet. So according to the city, the foundation line has moved. It might be imaginary, but it is not. It is by law.
So let me talk about.
And
May
that was
20
that was
Let me
the
talk
issue
about
that-
May 26th and the allegation that the Hendersons were out on their side of the fence barbecuing. And then all of a sudden there's garbage coming over the fence and people are coming out to see, and there's garbage coming over the fence. Can you tell me, did that happen?
No, because we have the sign. We have a sign, private property, do not get into our private property.
Okay,
And that's we put down. And what they did is someone grabbed where this crab sales, took it and threw it back to us. That's what happened.
so what,
There is-
one more time, tell me what happened?
There is in a bag where we have the container, and this thing, somebody took it.
Yep.
It didn't fly by itself. Someone took it and threw it inside and when I got it, I took a piece of paper and I threw it back.
Okay.
Because they, by law, and I asked the people in.
So where did this item come from? You have no idea where this bag came from?
It was the bird deterrent that we.
Okay, so it was
It's a
there.
bird
So
deterrent.
someone came over, grabbed it up
Someone
and
grabbed
threw
it
it
and threw it back to us.
back into your property, and then you picked it up and threw it over the fence.
No, not the whole thing. That's
Parts of it.
just maybe
Okay, why did you do that?
because they're not supposed to do that. They're trespassing on my. I started to ask people because I'm kind of like a lay person. Then what is trespassing?
Yeah.
They did.
So they did it and you did it.
Yeah.
Did anything else happen? You just tossed one thing over? Was
That's
there
it.
more? Nothing more?
Because what our purpose is to draw attention. And I'm so glad that now she is saying that there is a camera that they mounted on the wall, and that's how they have a streaming of images from the camera.
So can I ask you about this drawing attention? We're now in court,
Yeah.
and you're maybe being subjected to an order that could put you in jail if you violate it. Is that the attention that you're seeking?
We're just trying to pay attention because we want to really get honesty.
Well, once you get the attention, what do you want to do with it?
Because now, this 3 minutes ago, that we found out that there is a camera.
Let's back up from that. You're both of you saying that you're doing this to get attention, knowing that it's going to be offensive.
To resurface.
And then what are you going to do once you have their attention?
Because there are so many other things that are there now.
What do you want to do with their attention? What do you want to tell them? What is it?
Because this is the camera. That is one of the worst harassment that they do. Because now my privacy is zero. Because the camera is aimed over to the window of my house. And I cannot do anything. I cannot even talk to her and laugh. Cannot.
So once you get your neighbor's attention, do you want to discuss things with them? What do you want to do?
Yes, of course, because she came over to the house. She said, we need to talk. That's it.
And when was that, do you think? Was that last year?
That was a day after she filed this thing, or maybe a day before.
So let's talk. And we're able to, so once you have their attention, then you're talking about some of the things that you don't like on each side. Is that?
Yes, because because I spoke to the husband and said, Brian, let's sit down and talk this thing over.
Okay.
If we have to negotiate, then we negotiate.
Okay.
My first impression when she came to the house, knock on the door, I was thinking that the first thing to do is set up a procedure of talking.
That would be the dispute resolution center. That's the procedure of talking.
Just the two of us, and we'll tell them all these things that.
Yeah, your list of disputes. Okay.
So let's the camera.
So
the camera has.
I can't answer that. You haven't filed anything. So what you're telling me is you want to talk, and that's good. If I sign this order, nobody gets to talk at all. You don't have contact with each other. If you do, the cops get called and you go to the jail. If I sign this order, so
that's why I asked that the city said, if I bring these issues, because they told me, if you see, say it. If you see something, say something. So that's what I'm doing.
Right. So if
they call the cops.
Yeah, and if your neighbors are willing to talk to you, just the two of you, that's great. But if you need help with that, that's what the Dispute Resolution Center does. They help neighbors talk about your list of problems.
Okay, that's just one, but there are 5 of them.
Yeah, you haven't filed your own order. I'm just dealing with this. I'm not going to go off on tangents.
Because this is something that is
it's not relevant to Ms. Henderson's.
Right.
You haven't filed your own petition.
There is what is called deed of trust.
I'm not going to hear about it, Mr. Aguto. I cannot help you with your dispute over easement.
Because they have been harassing me.
Stop interrupting me, Mr. Aguto. Stop it.
I'm sorry.
All right. I'm allowed to interrupt you to try and focus you and get information, but you need to listen and answer the questions directly. And I've told you, district court is not the place that can fix the dispute about whose property is who. I don't have the power to do that. You're in the wrong place if that's the issue. I'm also not going to take up your list of complaints against the Hendersons. All I have before me is Ms. Henderson's request to issue this order that would stop any discussion. And frankly, from what I'm hearing here. So is there anything else, Mr. Aguto, about this petition, about these allegations that you want to talk to me about?
If I'm, Your Honor, I just motion, I send a motion to you to dismiss what she's saying, because she and the husband has been harassing us for more than 8 years. And the only thing that we have is our body to go into the house. And this key we got almost 20 years.
And what's that key?
Turnkey. We haven't changed this.
Key to the Henderson's house?
No,
No.
key to my house,
Key to your house.
our house.
Okay.
And this key is the only thing that we got. And this. And we have a lender. I'm a truster. Somebody is a trustee. So we'll leave that alone. And I am glad that
You're
you
still
say that.
living in
Yes.
you're still living at 13th
Right.
Verona. Okay. All
And
right.
this is the key that makes us 1326.
Right.
This key.
Okay.
Since
Let me turn to your
19
wife
years
and
ago.
see if there's anything more that she wanted to say here. Ms. Aguto.
Your Honor, the only thing actually that that this thing arises is because of that fence. It's all because of that fence. And I know Mrs. Henderson is complaining about the order. I want her to understand too that there are sleepless nights because of the inconvenience of the situation that they have caused us at the moment. Like I said, we are not at liberty to sell our house. We're not at liberty even to rent or lease out our house because of that danger thing that they put on our property. And then I am not at liberty to invite friends over, for a barbecue. So just within last month, I thought I was undergoing through what was that? What was that? I forgot. I'm sorry. I had to go for email because what was I thought?
she has a murmur.
No, it's
So you had to have a medical procedure?
yes. Well, until just the month of June, I had to go because there are nights when I'm sleepless, and because of the sleepless night, I thought I was having an attack. I forgot the term. I went to Kaiser, and it's all because of the stress that I'm undergoing. And if she thinks that because of that smell, she should consider to what I'm going through, Your Honor. I'm going through sleepless night because I am trying to resolve this fence problem, and I want to be at liberty that when I'm ready to sell my house, that I should sell my house and not have to undergo all these.
Well, would you agree that what you say you did is hanging up those items that with nail polish on them, that was offensive, and you agree that the rotting food was also, you knew that was going to cause some pretty substantial distress, and you agree that those things shouldn't have done that, correct? Because you said you were somehow distressed and did those things knowing that it was going to cause a bad reaction from them. So you know that that's not the way to solve it, right?
Well,
right? Do you agree?
Well, I agree that that kind of action actually for me it is uncalled for. Yes, I do.
Okay.
But like I said, at that moment it just
that moment. But
it was just one time when I hung that up, and it was just like an overnight, took it down and never did go back. And like I said, for that thing, yes, Your Honor, I when I placed it there, I want them to remember that that I am not happy with their fence on our side of the property.
So what are your solutions rather than doing that? Obviously, there are other solutions, and one of them is to talk to each other civilized. And if you can't do it, then maybe get a mediator involved and talk in a civilized manner. If that doesn't work, then you might be left with having to file a lawsuit and have a Superior Court judge decide your property line. But all of this other doings, throwing garbage back and forth, and I look at the Hendersons too, setting out rotting food to create great stench, to hang offensive undergarments, so it causes offense on the other side. I mean, that doesn't get us anywhere. It just gets us into court with it not in the right court and not getting any solution. Do you agree? There's no solution done here. You're still in dispute over that fence line. no matter what happens here, correct? You're still in dispute and the fence line decision hasn't been made. So this hasn't worked. It's just causing inconvenience and pain and torture, right?
I got the word anxiety. I thought I had the anxiety.
Yeah,
attack.
yeah, you're
That's
getting
what
more
I-
anxiety because
that's
you're
what I-
trying to court.
That's the word. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
And maybe because you haven't resolved this issue in the proper way, rather than frankly
Your Honor,
doing silly things to get attention.
I know last year my husband, at least from what he told me, that he was trying to talk to Brian,
Mhm.
but the only resolution that Brian told him is sue me.
That
So-
may be what you have to do.
No,
know,
yeah,
Maybe
but-
he's told you what he wants. Or sounds like they might be interested in the Dispute Resolution Center helping you talk. And you can, or not, it's all up to you. It's not up to this court. But Ms. Henderson, is there, before I close this out, your petition that you filed this time included everything that you filed before, right?
No, I didn't include this video right here.
Did you include that? I'm not going to watch a video on Zoom.
Well,
Put
it
that-
shows I
You
have
tell-
proof. I
tell-
have proof showing Mr. Guto throwing numerous amounts of garbage over the fence. That was dishonest.
Okay.
Secondly, we did not throw anything on their property. We picked up a bag of garbage and set it on right behind the rock wall from our own property. We have never trespassed on their property. And thirdly, we have asked the Agutos to split the cost of a new, we've asked them to split the cost of having a resurvey done. They said no. We've
Yeah,
tried
that's not
every
for me
way
to
we can.
determine here.
I understand that, but I want you to know, we have not harassed them in any
Yeah.
way. We have
I'm not
purposely
seeing that.
stayed
Yeah, I'm
calm
not seeing
as
either
we can.
side. Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that you've committed unlawful harassment at this stage. The
And we care
Agutos-
about them. We care about
Yeah.
them, and this is very distressing.
I hear that.
actually,
Let me just, okay, maybe
bothers
I
me.
should just tell you, I'm ruling now, so I'm gonna ask everyone
All
to,
right.
hold their peace, and that's all right. It's difficult on Zoom to kind of
I'm
communicate.
sorry.
That's no sorry needed. You're
Your Honor,
fine.
can I just say one?
No,
please?
I'm going to rule about
Thank you,
this.
thank you,
So
anyway.
I don't find that either side is committing unlawful harassment. Now, the things that you're doing, and we've talked about it, and I think Ms. Aguto has kind of taken ownership of the silly and ridiculous behavior of hanging things up that look offensive and the rotting food. Just knock it off is all I can say. Now, unfortunately, this law, unlawful harassment is, and if I were to sign an order, people go to jail if there's a violation, and I can't stop, obnoxious and rude behavior. That's what it is. It's obnoxious and rude and overbearing. But this law doesn't let me stop that. Unfortunately, everybody would have an order against everybody almost, because at times we're all rude, obnoxious, and overbearing. But I have to find, was there this intention to commit unlawful harassment, a specific course of conduct directed at person causing substantial emotional distress with the intent to cause substantial emotional distress that doesn't serve any lawful or legitimate purpose. And what I'm seeing is kind of a little bit of back and forth. We've gotten some admissions from the Agutos that some of the things being done are wrong and they shouldn't do them anymore. This is not a good way to get attention. The way to get attention is to talk to each other. And if you're told, no, just sue me, well, then I guess you decide if that's the way to go. But the attention you're getting, the response is bad. You're ending up in court here, and that's not working. So, but I don't see that it amounts to unlawful harassment. It's bad neighbors. So I'm going to have to deny this request for an order. That's the end of the hearing. And
Thank you.
just, I hope you find a way to talk about this fence line issue. But again, if it's about that, then you need to go take that to the court that can solve that problem, because I can't do that here. So I'm going to write up an order basically that says no further hearing and no order. So that's it for today. I hope you can find a way to talk. And remember, Dispute Resolution Center is very helpful. We can give you information. So Ms. Henderson, you can say or you can go. This order will be in the court file. You can also contact my clerks if you wanted a copy, but it's available to you. And I'll probably be giving just a copy to the Agutos since they're here.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so long.